In 2004, a 19-year-old college dropout almost handed over his entire company for $5 million. He said no. And that decision, that one moment of stubbornness, is the reason Facebook became worth over $1 trillion. But here's what nobody tells you about that story. It almost went the other way, multiple times. And the lessons buried inside those near misses? They're the same lessons that separate people who build real wealth from people who just work hard their whole lives and wonder why nothing sticks. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you're going to see why the most important financial decisions you'll ever make aren't about picking the right stock. They're about knowing when to hold, when to walk away, and when to stop letting other people define what your thing is worth. Let's go back to February 2004. Mark Zuckerberg is sitting in a Harvard dorm room. He's just launched this thing called the Facebook, spelled out all one word. And within 24 hours, over 1,000 students have signed up. Within a month, half of Harvard is on it. Now, a guy named Eduardo Saverin, Mark's co-founder, he puts in about $19,000 to keep the servers running. That's it. That's the early investment. No venture capital. No Silicon Valley. Just a kid, a laptop, and a borrowed idea that somehow felt different from everything else. But here's where the story gets dangerous. That summer, Zuckerberg moves to Palo Alto for an internship. He's networking, meeting people, and that's when he gets introduced to a guy named Sean Parker, the founder of Napster. Now, Parker sees something in this kid. He tells Zuckerberg, don't take the $5 million acquisition offer. Because yes, there was already an offer on the table. A real one. $5 million to a 19-year-old with no income and a website that was basically just a college directory. Most people would have taken that. Be honest. You would have too. I would have. $5 million in 2004 money for a college project? That's life-changing. That's generational wealth right there. But Zuckerberg didn't take it. And not just that offer. He turned down a $12 million offer for Friendster, then a $200 million offer from Viacom. $200 million. Now stop right there, because this is where most finance content gets this story completely wrong. They frame it as, oh, he was just a genius visionary who knew it would be worth trillions. That's not the lesson. That's survivorship bias dressed up as inspiration. The real lesson is much more uncomfortable. In 2005, Facebook nearly collapsed from the inside. Zuckerberg and Saverin are in a legal war. Eduardo had been diluted out of the company. His shares reduced from 30% down to almost nothing during a funding round. He sued. He went to lawyers. He froze the company's bank accounts. Think about that. The company's bank accounts were frozen. They couldn't pay their developers. They couldn't keep the servers running. And it wasn't some outside enemy doing it. It was someone from the inside. Someone who felt betrayed. And honestly, he had a point. But here's what this moment teaches us about money and business. Chaos on the inside will kill something faster than any competitor on the outside. The Eduardo situation got settled quietly. Saverin got his name back in the credits. You probably noticed it in the movie and an undisclosed amount. But the lesson that moment left behind is one that every person building wealth needs to tattoo somewhere visible. Protect your equity, document your agreements, and never assume a handshake covers what happens when the numbers get big. Fast forward to 2006. Facebook is growing, and now Yahoo comes in with $1 billion offer. $1 billion. Zuckerberg is 22 years old. His board of directors wants to sell. His investors want to sell. The people around him are practically begging him to take the money. And he sits in a meeting. This is documented. And he says, I don't know what I would do with the money. I just want to keep building this. Now, here's what that teaches you about wealth building that most financial gurus skip entirely. The people who build the most wealth over time are not the people who optimize for the fastest exit. They're the people who are so clear on what they're building and why. That outside pressure doesn't move them. That's not recklessness. That's conviction backed by evidence. Every month, Facebook's user numbers were climbing. Every month, the data told a story. Zuckerberg wasn't holding on because of ego. He was holding on because the numbers justified it. That distinction matters for your finances too. There is a massive difference between holding a bad investment because you're too proud to admit you were wrong, and holding a good investment because you understand something about it that the noise around you doesn't. One of those will make you wealthy. The other one will clean you out. Then comes 2008, the financial crisis. Ad revenue collapses. Investors are panicking. And Facebook, which was not yet public, was burning through cash. This is the part of the story that gets completely left out. Zuckerberg needed capital to survive. He went to Microsoft and got a $240 million investment, but it came with strings. It valued Facebook at $15 billion on paper, while privately many investors thought that number was a fantasy. The pressure was enormous. People inside the company were questioning everything. And then, quietly, Zuckerberg did something that most people building wealth never do. He simplified. He cut the noise. He focused the product. He stopped trying to be everything to everyone and doubled down on the one thing Facebook did that nothing else could: keep people connected to the people they actually knew. By 2012, Facebook went public at a $100 billion valuation. And yes, the IPO was rocky. The stock dropped. People called it overpriced, called Zuckerberg a fluke. 10 years later, the company crossed $1 trillion. So what does all of this mean for you? Here's the finance takeaway, the real one. First, your best investments will always face pressure to be sold early. Whether that's a business, a piece of real estate, or a stock portfolio, there will be a moment where someone offers you good money and everything around you screams to take it. Know your numbers. Don't sell conviction short. Second, internal problems are more dangerous than external ones. Protect your partnerships with real agreements. Money changes relationships, not because people are bad, but because the stakes get real. Third, holding through chaos is a skill, not luck. Zuckerberg held through lawsuits, frozen accounts, a financial crisis, and a botched IPO. What he had wasn't magic. He had clarity on what he was building and data that backed it up. Build that for your own finances. Know your numbers. Know your direction. And stop letting noise from news, from friends, from fear make your decisions for you. Because the gap between the people who almost had it and the people who actually built it, it's usually not talent. It's not even timing. It's knowing what something is worth before anyone else tells you. If this